Hello and welcome. Today we've got Clay Clark, and today we are going to be discussing the great acceleration. So many things happening that are unrelated all at once. What is going on? Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to my Instagram channel at nicholas.veniamin for all my daily newsreels. Clay, thank you so much for joining me, sir. How are you and what have you been up to?
Well, I'll tell you what, we've been organizing the Reawaken America tour nonstop. That's a event for anybody who doesn't know. As of right now, we've got just under 600 tickets remaining for the June 7th and 8th Reawaken America tour, which will be taking place in Detroit, Michigan. So that's Detroit, Michigan, June 7th and 8th. People can get tickets. People can get those tickets at time2freeamerica.com. It's General Flynn. It's Kash Patel. It's Roger Stone. It's Amanda Grace. It's Laura Trump. It's a lot of our mutual friends. It's Mel K. Excuse me. It's something that gets me choked up. No, but it is an event that is absolutely a nonstop 90-mile-an-hour truth festival. And I'm really honored to be a part of it, but there's a lot of components to go into that. So really, that's where my focus is. And then at that event, what we tried to do is to share with millions of waking up people the truth about election fraud, medical fraud, religious fraud, monetary fraud, mainstream media fraud, but ultimately all paths lead back to God.
No, absolutely, it does. Absolutely. So let's go into what you want to talk about, because there is a lot of things going on right now with the banking system. There's lots going on with the pedophilia coming down with P. Diddy. A lot of things going on in hip hop, which is very similar to what happened with Epstein. And I'm aware that there's a lot of people, very important people, who we look up to, or we used to look up to, who are linked to these cases, which could be a domino effect and bring a lot of it down and be exposed. What do you think about that?
Well, okay, so let's talk about this convergence or this acceleration of this mass exposure, this mass revelation. So, and there's really 10 points I wanted to get into. So the first one is you talk about Diddy. All right. So we'll talk about Diddy. Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, Diddy, he was the mentor for Justin Bieber. So the mentor for Usher, the mentor for T.D. Jakes, praise and worship, the charismatic pastor, T.D. Jakes. The guy who introduced the notorious B.I.G., the guy who introduced Mary J. Blige, the guy who introduced Jodeci, Casey and JoJo, the guy who introduced Mace, modern hip-hop music as we know it. I mean, this guy dominated the 90s and 2000s and he continues to dominate today with his influence on Usher, Bieber, et cetera. So the question is, and we'll just kind of leave it with a question mark, but is Lucian, this is his name, and Lucian is at the top of the music industry food pyramid. Lucian Grange, right? Lucian Grange. And it's Lucian, Lucian Grange, Graing. So Lucian Grange is sort of like the kingmaker of the music industry. And it appears that he and Sean Combs, Puff Daddy, worked together to where they were like the gatekeepers for the industry. And once you did whatever they wanted you to do, now you had access to superstardom. So the question is, Lucian Grange, who's, signed Taylor Swift, what happened? Usher, what happened? Bieber, what happened? T.D. Jakes, what happened? So it's going to be interesting to see what happened to what do these people have to do to get where they are today.
No, absolutely. I completely agree with you. And then you got the question of, there was a lot of controversy and fallouts back in the 90s. What happened to the deaths of, notorious B.I.G., Biggie Smalls, Tupac, and then you've got the bodyguard that worked for Tupac and, the bodyguard that worked for P. Diddy and Michael Jackson. And then, there's other rumors circulating around. Did he have anything to do with it? Again, we don't know.
Right. So you talk about it again. What do they have to do? So you say, how does that relate to this? Well, that's an exposure that's happening. That's exposure number one. Okay. Now, exposure number two. And again, these are just 10 things that we're exposing all at the same time. They seem to be unrelated, but they're accelerating. All right. So now you've got this guy, Barack Obama. I think I've heard that name. The former president, Barack Obama. People say, Barack Obama? Why are you talking about Barack Obama? Well, see, Barack Obama is now showing up as being at the center of many things.
The other book that I really enjoyed, a book by an Israeli author, Yuval Harari, called *Sapiens*, and it's a sweeping history of the human race from 40,000 feet.
So the guy Yuval Noah Harari, who is known as the prophet, he's praised by Obama, Zuckerberg, Gates, MIT, Stanford, Harvard. The guy who's calling humans hackable animals. The guy who wants to rewrite the Bible using AI. His name is Yuval Noah Harari. Listen to him, folks.
Think about the politician you most hate in the world, or think about the religious movement or the ideological movement that which was the worst in history from your perspective, and take a few minutes to think, what would they do with the technologies that I'm developing right now?
He just said, what would they do with the technology that I'm developing right now? So again, the question we have here, question number one, is what is the agenda? What is the agenda of Puff Daddy and Lucian Grange? What is the agenda, folks? Everybody has an agenda. So on today's show, I'm going to tell you, folks, my secret agenda. And I've got all sorts of notes I'm pulling up here so everyone can I make sure that I cite all my sources here. But my agenda on today's show, I'm being very clear, is I want to share the truth about medical fraud, election fraud, religious fraud, monetary fraud, mainstream media fraud. But I want to lead everybody back to God. And I want to help out my good friend, Peter Navarro. This is the guy who authored the Trump economy, okay? So if you're in America and you like low taxation, deregulation, tough negotiation with China, Peter Navarro is Trump's economic advisor. This guy is in prison right now. He's in a Miami prison right now. I just met with his family this week. He called me on December 23rd, and he said to me, Clay, I have unbelievable, unrelenting legal bills, and if you could help me to pay for those, that would be great, because I'm going to prison. And so I gave him my word. I gave him my bond. I said I would do it. I told the listeners, I'll tell your listeners too, if you go to givesendgo.com/Navarro and you donate anything at all, you are entered in for a chance to win a backstage pass to the Reawaken America tour. Now, someone says, well, yeah, but what's your agenda? My agenda, I've got 5 kids, is to save our nation. And one thing I can do is I can rally behind, much like you do, with wonderful Patriots. So again, if you go to givesendgo.com/Navarro, you donate anything, and you text me proof of donation to my cell phone number right there, you have a chance to win a backstage pass to the Reawaken America tour, June 7th and 8th in Detroit, Michigan. But I have an agenda. Puff Daddy had an agenda. Barack Obama had an agenda. So what's Barack Obama's agenda? Why did he introduce the world to Yuval Noah Harari? Why did he fund ISIS? And what is the agenda of Yuval Noah Harari, the guy who says we need to rewrite the Bible using AI, and the guy who describes humans as hackable animals? What is their agenda?
Well, obviously, their agenda is, like what you preach as well with the Bible. They don't like the Bible. They want to take it out of our schools. They're pushing this satanic stuff and teaching our kids inappropriate things that they don't even need to know about whilst taking prayer out of school. Very interesting. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about who Peter Navarro is? Why is he in prison? Did he work along with Trump? Because I've heard that name before, and I'm so sorry for my ignorance.
No, and I'll tell you this about you are a very well-researched guy, and everybody out there has their own level of expertise or their own area where we focus in on. Some people know a lot about sports or music or recording or acting and the problem with all these events that are seemingly unrelated is there's an acceleration of the convergence. I'm not making an Illuminati symbol here, but where there's an acceleration, we're getting closer to all these things reaching a peak. They're all crescendoing, right? So Peter Navarro over here, no one knows who he is, but I'll tell you what he did. This was Trump's chief financial advisor. So people love to talk about Trump's financial genius and the economy and the Trump economy and the MAGA economy and the Make America Great, America First economy, but they don't really oftentimes know who are the people behind the scenes that are humbly working to save the nation. So this guy, Peter Navarro, there he is. I'm just showing you some footage of him. He was the chief architect of the Trump economy. And so Tucker Carlson had him on right before he went into prison, and I'll play this little clip for you.
Ways. I'm Peter Navarro. I will see you all on the other side.
Because Congress is apparently so offended that you will appear before a fake partisan committee.
Yeah.
They're sending you to prison. I mean, what's this really about? Your position on you're the most hawkish Trump official on China. Is that what it's about? And what do you think the real story is here?
The real story here really goes back to 2016. I think you know this, Tucker, but I was one of the very few people who was with the president all the way from the 2016 campaign to the end of his first term.
My name is General Mike Flynn, and I'm here to stand up for Peter Navarro.
So General Flynn was supposed to be President Trump's right-hand man when he was in the office. It was General Flynn's job to essentially direct President Trump to get us out of these endless wars and to bring back American troops to get us out of these ridiculous conflicts that are largely entered into by the military-industrial complex. And the guy who was supposed to restore American economic prosperity was Peter Navarro. So General Flynn was supposed to be helping America militarily, right? And Peter Navarro was supposed to help us economically. So we talk about America, and you say, what makes America great? Most people would say it's the economy and it's the military. So the guy who's supposed to lead the military, General Flynn, they came after him. Why? Because he wanted to get us out of endless wars, and he knew how to. And they came after Navarro. Why? Because he knew how to make American prosperity return. So again, my third question I would have for you is, what is the America First agenda? What is the agenda? Well, the agenda of America First is very simple. President Trump believes that every American should have access to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Every American should be able to live freely, life, liberty, have the ability to make their own decisions, good or bad, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Not to say you're guaranteed happiness, but you have the pursuit of happiness. Happiness is a decision we all make every day. But that is that's what President Trump believes. And so who is it that would come to take those freedoms away from us? Who is it that would come and would want to seek to take those freedoms away? The Bible says, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. It says, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. I don't have the whole Bible memorized, so I'm just pulling up my notes here. But 2 Corinthians 3:17 says, now the Lord is that Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Now, the Lord is that Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. So these people have a very much anti-Christ agenda. So you say, well, what's the agenda of Hollywood? Well, here we go.
Hollywood is not really there to entertain you. Like, that's great that happens. But propaganda is something that is important to all civilizations.
Well, propaganda in Hollywood movies is built into the ingredients list. It's like, if you want flour, you need wheat. Like, you're going to have to get the wheat. And if you want to be able to make movies about certain subjects, you have to be willing to work with some people. And, it'd be nice if you made it so that this is what we're trying to accomplish. And this is showing the negative side of this other society. And this is and this is our hero. Is our hero who's going to go do America's bidding and go over there. And you're like, okay. And those movies are successful. And so they continue this relationship. And you become a bit of a propaganda arm for the government. And in turn, they don't fuck with you.
Right. But that's what makes information so powerful is, you don't care how people feel about the ritual. It's about, does following the ritual work?
Yeah.
And so you can fool yourself into thinking there isn't one, but the evidence will be clear. So like when I was like, oh, these guys are wearing dresses. Everybody's like, oh, he keeps talking about people wearing dresses. No, it's not.
It's a weird thing.
It's not like that. Look at it from a different way. Look at it. Show me one person that ever wore a dress in Hollywood unsuccessfully. That's how you understand what a ritual is. So 20 years ago, I knew that transgenders was going to be a thing. It wasn't because I was a prophet. It's just I had gotten so much information that I understood
The
that
pattern.
things are secular. So I understood that the earliest I had seen that word transgender was Baphomet, the transgender. Um, and so I knew that in the ritual of Baphomet, the transgender, to show allegiance to him, you had to kiss his ass.
And so this is, I mean, this is again a convergence, an acceleration. You say, well, what is the agenda of Hollywood? For people out there that don't know this, if anybody out there wants to go to hell quickly and you want to become a warlock or a witch, witches and warlocks, they cast their spells using a specific kind of wood and a specific thing called a wand. And the wand that witches and warlocks use is made out of a specific substance, and that substance is called Hollywood, or wood from a holly tree. So Hollywood was designed to tell a vision and to cast a spell that was not a pro-Christ spell. And so now you have people like Cat Williams, the famous comedian, who are now calling out the inextricable connection between Baphomet and Hollywood and witches and warlocks and the whole thing. And that's what's happening. And so you have to ask yourself the question, what is the agenda of Hollywood?
Oh, of course. And why is it happening so much now? And people are waking up. I think that we're moving into a new age, into a new world where the old system is collapsing. And that's what we're seeing happening very, very slowly. What are your thoughts?
Well, I believe that with the Bible states, now everyone can disagree with me about maybe my conclusion or whatever, but I would say that I'm eternally optimistic. I believe in eternity with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and about that I am optimistic. I'm eternally optimistic. However, the Bible states in Revelation chapter 16, verse 12 through 14, that when the Euphrates River dries up, the false prophet will show up, and China and Russia will team up. That's what'll happen. That's not my opinion. As the Bible says in Revelation chapter 16, verse 12 through 14. So what's happening is you're seeing an acceleration. Now, some people believe that the Luciferians are very aware of the Bible, and therefore they're rushing towards implementing the satanic agenda of the Bible. Some people believe that they are ignorantly following the satanic, they're following the prophecy of the Bible without knowing it. I can't speak to being a Luciferian because I am not one, but I will be able to listen to what Yuval Noah Harari is saying. Now, he's saying that we are on the verge of, and we need a catastrophe in order to introduce a new system.
Only a catastrophe can shake humankind and open the path to a real system of global governance. Imagine the politician you most fear in the world. Focus on them. And now ask, what might that politician do with the technologies, with the tools that I am developing? The ability to biologically engineer human beings changes the most basic rules of history. So you have these dreams about a world without hierarchy, without injustice, without poverty, and which means, in effect, a world with completely different laws than the laws we recognize, that we are familiar with. And the idea is that there would be this magical moment, the revolution or the crusade, or we'll rebuild the temple, or we'll create a new perfect utopian society, and it will be a moment of historical redemption.
He's talking about rebuilding the third temple, folks. And for anybody that doesn't study the Bible a lot, the Bible clearly states that when the third temple has to be built in order for the Antichrist to sit in the temple and declare that he is God. And I just think most people don't know that. They don't study the third temple. And so therefore, when they see this information, they might not see how it connects. They might not say, oh, okay, this belongs with that. That belongs with this. But now we're seeing a convergence. So Israel has started to say now that they now have, they've been saying it, but now it's becoming more headline news. Israel now has the red heifers ready to go. So I'll play this for you real quick here.
To organic
The prophetic meaning behind the red heifers is one of a very short number of prophecies that is correlated and impact all three of the Abrahamic religions. In short, it is believed that when the red heifer is sacrificed, it will usher in the last of the last days.
Okay, now there are red heifers ready to be sacrificed in Israel right now, and Yuval Noah Harari is calling for rebuilding the third temple. So again, we ask these are questions we're asking here. One is, what is the agenda of Puff Daddy and Lucian Grange? Is it pro-Christ or anti-Christ? Okay. What is the agenda of Barack Obama? Is it pro-Christ or anti-Christ? Okay. What's the agenda of Hollywood? Is it pro-Christ or anti-Christ? Okay. What's the agenda of Yuval Noah Harari? And all of these events are converging to this time of a great revelation or a time of a great reveal, a time where things that were once hidden from us will now be known by all. And everybody can have their own interpretation about what that means and how that all ends for us. But what I can do right now, and I encourage your listeners to follow suit, is I wake up every day and I ask God, what can I do to help save this nation? And so today, this very day in my office, Mayor Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor of New York, he's in my office today, and I'm helping him raise money to help support his cause. Because Mayor Rudy Giuliani, he's standing up for President Trump when very few people would. And because of that, he is being persecuted right now. And so we just launched this just seconds ago. So for any of your listeners out there, if they go to givesendgo.com/Rudy, it's Rudy Giuliani, former mayor of New York, close with Trump, and you donate anything at all, any amount at all. And I'm not saying this to depress you. I'm saying it to hopefully encourage everybody. Most of the donations, look at this, we've had 23,103 donations so far for Peter Navarro. And, the average donation has been around $40, $10. Look at this, $25 just came in. $25 from Michael Philpott, $200 from Anonymous. And all these wonderful people from all over the world are showing up to support and do what they can do. So right now, today, if you want a chance to win a backstage pass to the Reawaken America Tour, and I know you do, and if you want to request a ticket, and I know you do, just go to givesendgo.com/Rudy right there. Boom. You can download Support Rudy and be the first person to donate right there. Givesendgo.com/Rudy. Or you can team up or do both. I recommend you do both. Go to givesendgo.com/Navarro to support Peter Navarro. And then if you want to just say, man, I need to know what's going on. I want to know what's going on, and I need all these facts. I need to see them all in one place. We have a variety of free resources for you. You can download the Reawaken America Tour documentary for free tonight at timetofreeamerica.com to learn about the Great Reset. And by the way, that features General Flynn and Mike Lindell and so many great people. You can go to timetofreeamerica.com and learn about the CERN and central bank digital currencies and all those at timetofreeamerica.com. Or you can request tickets to join the Reawaken America Tour at Reawaken at timetofreeamerica.com. But again, I would just say we're in a time of acceleration and a great reveal. And I think we all need to be asking the question, what is the agenda? Is it pro-Christ or anti-Christ?
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Clay Clark, for showing that with us. And I do, encourage the viewers to donate to Rudy Giuliani and to Peter Navarro. If you can, it'll be fantastic. Please let me know the links. I can leave them below, Clay. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Well, I just say this. A lot of times people, I hop on a show and I get a chance to read the comments, and so many wonderful people will say, hey, I didn't know where I could go to donate, or could you have said that again? I was driving. I was trying to take notes. So I'll just say, if you go to givesendgo.com, so givesendgo.com/Rudy, givesendgo.com/Rudy, or givesendgo.com/Navarro. And I would say, I guess. So givesendgo.com/Rudy. Make a quick donation. Donate $5, $10, something, and then go to givesendgo.com/Navarro and donate something. And that's really a great way for you today, as you're listening, to make a big impact to help these men. Because, Peter Navarro's in prison today, and they're trying to push Rudy Giuliani into complete financial chaos simply because he refused to stop talking about election fraud. And so we all need to support those who are in the fight right now. And a great way to do that is givesendgo.com/Rudy and givesendgo.com/Navarro.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much, Clay. And we'll speak again very soon. You take care and God bless. Bye-bye.
You're the best. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.